Hey everyone, thanks for being here and thanks for introducing me. And I guess you guys already see the topic. So let's start. First of all, who am I? I'm actually a CS undergrad from Jamia Millia Islamia. It's in New Delhi. And okay. It's in New Delhi, my university, and I'm a final year computer science undergrad from there, and I'll hopefully be passing out this fall. I spent my last 2 years doing Google Summer of Code project with the MetaBrains Foundation. Basically, MetaBrains Foundation is this open data organization which deals, it's sort of like Wikipedia, but it stores data regarding music, like artists, albums, and it's all crowdsourced, so anyone can contribute. So for example, you have a CD, some old song CD, and the data isn't available online, but you have it in physical form, so you can enter all that data to the databases, and it gets openly available to users throughout. It's now coming into the machine learning field. They're beginning with this Acoustic Brains project, which stores all the low-level information of music files. So you can do cool stuff like, maybe generating some classifier for genres and artists, that kind of stuff. So I spent my last 2 years with this foundation working on different projects. Next, this is my first international trip and talk. So, please pardon me if I say something wrong or etc. So how did this talk came about? I was actually, I just love the command line, and the raw power that comes with it. I also happen to love Python. So, I was waiting for a way to get into CLI apps. I used to create, small shell scripts before. So one day I was looking for a package with which I could create CLI apps in Python, and I found this magical thing called docopt. I'm not sure if you've heard of it or not. I mean, that's the point of this talk, if you haven't heard of it. So, so I found docopt. It felt like I was in Hogwarts doing all the cool stuff. So yeah, that's when I decided that I would like to give this talk. Okay, I'm not sure if we should even be discussing this thing. I'm just assuming that we all love the command line, and why would we be writing a CLI app? And I'll honestly be pretty surprised if people are not already doing this. Yeah, this matters. Why actually spend or bother writing a good command line app, and what does that even mean? What does the word good even mean in this context? Why not just write a script that you are just going to use one time, so-called the one-off scripts that you know that you won't be using them in the future. So let's get this done quick and dirty. Why not just do that? I mean, if you know that you're just going to use this once. But Gandalf never said that there's no such thing as a one-off script. I mean, if you need it now, chances are you'll probably be needing it tomorrow, the other day, next week, or God forbid, 1 year down the line when you don't even remember what the script did. Or maybe your friend needs it. This is free and open source, right? Maybe you put this thing on some gist, etc., and somebody else downloads this and they try to run it. Imagine the interaction. They have this awesome script, the chmod, try to run this, and oops, you have some hard-coded path in the script which is obviously not available on the user's machine. So they try to find some help, and Oops, because you didn't do any of the command line thing. I mean, it was just a one-off script. You added some parts, the thing rang, you were done. Or maybe they missed hell dashes. Okay. So, I mean, you just saw what happens when you just put things online that you were only meant to do once, etc. So I actually also read this great book by David Copeland. It's called Awesome CLI Apps in Ruby. It's actually not about Ruby. I mean, you could just replace all the Ruby things with Python, and that's still great advice. I mean, obviously not the source code, but the advice there is much more generic and high level. So it's not really Ruby specific. I'm actually mentioning this because I won't be going into the details. I mean, if I were actually adding the slides, I'd just copy paste its content and talk about it. But I won't be going into the details because we are on a time limit here. Okay, so the actual details part about this, how we actually go about writing a CLI app. This is probably why you are actually in this room and need the source and etc. Okay, this is obviously a fake Zen. Number 20 doesn't exist, but with Python comes responsibilities. I mean, if you were writing this in C, I'd get why you couldn't do all the the nitty-gritty of command line parsing. Why you would have just a if-else ladder of sysargv using if sysargv is this, do something, if it's that, do something else. I could understand if it were in C, but this is Python, right? I mean, stuff here is as easy as importing anti-gravity. So CLI parsing should be too. I was actually planning to do, go all the 9 yards. There's multiple ways you can do this. There are many packages available on PyPI that allows you to create a CLI app. But we actually are just going to discuss the standard lib module called argparse. I mean, it's available. It replaces the opt parse module and docopt, which is the real reason I'm delivering this talk. Okay, so this is the standard argparse code. This is what a minimal argparse application looks like. If you tack on those hairy lines called if under name equals under main, and then call the main function, etc. I mean, this exactly won't run anything. So you import the argument parser. You then initiate an object. You add some argument. Name here is an argument that you can pass from the CLI. You call this parseArg function, which gives you a namespace object that you can then refer and use the values. Or this basically gives a default value of FOSSASIA. You have a name, you do the hello thing, and you have an output. Let's see how this runs. Okay, so the script is called say hello. You run basics, the default value. You run it with some command line, and you have the output. This, I mean, if you can look at the source code, we didn't say anything about the --help thingy. That's handled by default by argparse. So when you do that, you get okay. This I messed up the slides. They should all have been once. So you do the --help, and the help text appears. So argparse generates all this thing algorithmically. This is how you would do this in docopt. Basically, it is just in the reverse, wherein you copy all this. You copy this help message. Remove some parameters. I mean, you don't need this. I mean, it's just text, etc. And you put it in the doc strings, right? I mean, the top module level doc string, you put the usage there, and this is just an import. You do this magical thing. You pass on the document doc string to the doc opt, and it gives you a dictionary. It's basically no special object. It's just a dictionary which has all the parameters that you've specified. You can then use them like you would use any normal dictionary, you know, accessing by keys. So I mean, you might not appreciate it on a slide, but when things start growing, I mean, when you're writing, I mean, this is just a basic hello world, right? When things start growing, the argparse code sort of gets down to, you know, multiple of these add arguments line. You have some options too. I mean, I've never even used argparse ever, so I don't even remember, but people who do it every day don't even remember the options with this. You need to specify the type of this name and a lot of hairy things. But on the other side, with doc-opt, you just write in, as in you do a git hyphen help, whatever appears, you just copy paste this into the doc string, you pass it on to the doc-opt, and it gives, it automatically parses all the things and gives you a dictionary back, which you can use any way you'd like. So I found this quite useful because this syntax there, I mean, if you've been using CLI for a while, you must be familiar with that. What those brackets mean, what the the angular brackets basically stand for positional arguments. The square brackets are for optional arguments. So you don't, even if you don't specify any of this, I mean, the script just runs. I mean, you haven't specified any of the arguments. It uses the default values. If you specify an argument, this goes into the name and gets used. If you're already familiar with the syntax, then I mean, you can just pick up doc-opt in like a minute or two. That's what it takes to install it from PyPI. And even if you aren't familiar with the syntax, there's this site called docopt.org, which you can go to, and it lists all the, it's basically a standard, it's an ANSI standard way of doing the help text thing. So it has all the listed arguments, and it explains all the square brackets and angular brackets and what they mean. Okay, so like, this is what I've been trying to explain for a while. So yeah, why doc-opt as a Python package? I mean, the doc strings, they're already a part of big part of Python. They help us improve the readability of the code. So whereas in the argparse thing, you had to write all of this in the source code. But in doc-opt, you can just do it on the top. A user can just read up the doc string and get to know everything that your command, that your package actually does. It has just a simple API, you know, sort of like request. You always remember that it's request.get, post, you know, you know that thing. You don't have to go to the documentation to see if it was add arguments, what other functions are there, etc. So there's just one entry point to it. You pass on the doc string and you get a dictionary back. That's it. Yeah, I mean, this is arguably correct. I mean, I find it easy to create command line logic with this, but some of the people don't. I mean, for them the syntax is quite new, as in the optional and parametric things. And yes, I mean, I also happen to like Go, so when I moved there, doc-opt was also available. Basically, I'm not sure I've added the link on this slide, but github.com/docopt is an organization which has doc-opt packages for most of the languages. Like there's one for Ruby, Go, etc. And they all basically follow the same API. So you just pass them a double coded string with all the things, and they try to give you whatever representation of a dictionary that language has. I mean, that's it. Being my first talk, I didn't know how many slides to add or etc. So I was actually hoping that there wouldn't be any time for questions left, but so it goes. Yeah, I actually added some of the things in case I might do it early. So these are the standard lib modules. GetOpt is basically a low-level C thing. People used to use this. It's also useful in shell, but no, I hope nobody uses it today. Opt_parse was created way back and is sort of like completely replaced by argparse. We've discussed argparse. There are many third-party things, and actually I found all of these while researching the talk. I mean, I wasn't even aware of these existing before. So we've discussed docopt. Clint is by Kenneth Reitz. I mean, I'm hoping the requests guy who created request package. So it's actually more than just argument parsing. It does a hell lot of stuff, like pretty printing things in ANSI escape code. So you get the thing gets displayed on the command line in colors, etc. It has all those things. Click is what I use, what I personally use now. I'm sad that I couldn't get to explain that in detail. I'm not sure if we'll get that. But Click is by Armin Ronicher. I mean, it follows the entire Flask model. I'm not sure if you've used Flask before, but that thing is magical too, and so is Click. It has basically similar looking APIs to Flask, and Armin just does great stuff. So I personally use Click now. It takes a little bit more time as compared to docopt. I mean, there's some learning curve involved, but there is a lot of cool new things that you can do with Click that are a bit hard in docopt. I don't even remember what Click does. Plaque it's actually a new approach to command line parsing, wherein you basically just don't create a parser, etc. You just create a function, put in some arguments. They can be keyword arguments, positional arguments, etc. and pass on that function to a plaque, and it generates a parser for you. Never used it before, found this while researching the talk. Begins has a similar model to plaque, and Compigo too. Yeah, Compigo too. Compigo was created by this dev who actually created it just for delivering a talk on creating CLI apps in Python. So he created this package and then went on to deliver a talk. I haven't seen it being used much. Okay, these might be the contents of my future talk if I ever get to deliver one. Basically, CLI parsing CLI isn't just argument parsing, right? I mean, you get the arguments. Now what? You need to do something, right? It's an application. So argument parsing is just the entry point for a user. The user basically interacts with the app by passing on the arguments. It's what comes next that determines what the user experience of your application is. So in case of user inputs, it could be like interactive, git add patch interactive, right? I mean, I'm not sure if you've used add interactive, but it goes on to display a prompt where you can select all files, diff them, add them, etc. And there's this concept of stream-based I/O, like standard out, standard etc. So it's sort of like if you need to deliver an input to an application from which takes in a file name, you could just pass in hyphen to denote that you will be giving the input from standard in. So that's basically a stream-based I/O, and that matters too. In case of output, differentiating between standard out and standard error, right? Like the output that's meant to be consumed by other applications, which your application could be piped onto, is meant to be delivered to standard out. The standard ER is basically, some find it wrongly named. I don't really have any opinions on that, but they believe that it should have been called like standard log or something, because it's not really meant for errors. It's just meant for anything that you want your user to see and not other applications to consume. So differentiating between those two matters. Colors are just fancy, they look good, so you need to know about ANSI escape codes, etc. But there are packages available in Python that allow you to get colored output across the platform. Like Windows always has different ways of doing things than Mac, Unix, etc. So there's this cool package called Colorama. It basically, you pass on a string, you set a foreground background color, and it is a cross-platform way of handling colors. For Progress Bar, there's this cool package called Progress Bar 2. It's great. You just pass on any iterator to the Progress Bar function, and it automatically displays a Progress Bar as you iterate through the iterator. And writing man pages. There's this obscure language of writing man pages. I'm not even sure what it's called, because I always happen to use Pandoc. I'm not sure if you've heard of Pandoc before. You could just write in Markdown, and it basically converts any of a given list of formats to a huge array of output formats. So you could write it in Markdown and then use Pandoc to create a man page, PDF, etc. for it. So that's how I think you should be doing your documentation. And this is the real thing. Don't have any slides after that. Thing. Thank you. Questions?
I would have a question, but suggestion for your future talk.
Yeah.
Maybe you can go up a level, creating a shell or a record, something like that. How do you
We actually had a OS lab wherein we did this. It had to be in C. We couldn't do it in Python because profs don't like Python because it's too short a code. I mean, you need to do hard work in your labs, right? And C is hard work. Python isn't hard work. So we had to create a REPL wherein some of the commands worked, some didn't, etc. So, but yeah, writing it in Python would be a nice thing. Thanks for that. Okay, so thank you guys.